I'm gonna tell you, I born and raised in the little village of the countryside of the island. My father was a car mechanic. Nobody in my family, nobody at all, was involved with art. Not only with music, with art in general. Nobody. I was the first one. When I mentioned in my house, at home with my relatives and neighbors or whoever, that I want to be musician, everybody open their eyes like this and give me a weird look and say, "What? Musician? What you talking about? Are you out of your mind?" And that was the response I get from my family and friends and people. And but when they really thought that my decision was irrevocable, no? How
Yes.
can I say that?
Yes.
Can
Irrevocable.
you irrevocable? Yes. In other words, in my own words, my decision was very strong. I have no doubts about that. That's exactly what I want to be. I want to be a musician. And in the very beginning was so difficult because I never have like a kind of a proper instruction of private lessons or any of those things. I have to figure it out by myself, and I've been doing that almost all my life. I think when I was 50 something or 60 years old or something, I think I get my first trumpet lesson with Johan Raisi and then Claude Gordon, two amazing trumpet teachers. But before that, I was trying to figure it out all my life. And my first influence was the local band that they play only a very traditional style of music from Cuba. They call son, S-O-N, son. It's like the basis of all Cuban rhythms.
Hmm.
That they call a song. That was the first thing I did. Later on, I got a scholarship to go to National School of Art to get a kind of a classical training. I didn't took that too serious because I want to play Cuban music, and later on, over the years, when I heard jazz for the first time, I said, "Oh my goodness, this is it. That's what I want to learn. That's what I want to play. That's my favorite music." And later on, I was so lucky, man. I met my hero and the guy who I admire so much, Dizzy Gillespie, and then I started playing with him from 1978 until he passed away in January 6, 93. I've been very lucky because I got the opportunity to play with so many of my heroes and the people that I admire and respect so much. I think I feel very blessed to have, those opportunities over the years.
That's beautiful. You know, when we were together in Miami, we got to see your film for Love of Country, Arturo Sandoval story, and I want to ask you if you would share with some of us the circumstances of your arrival in the United States.
Oh my goodness. That was, by the way, the whole thing happens because the Cuban government make a mistake. They made a mistake and they gave us like a very special permission to my wife and son to travel to Europe and spend some time with me. That was the opportunity we were looking for many, many years. But as I said before, there was very exceptional permission because usually they don't do that to no one because that was like a kind of a anchor, to keep your family the other side, and then they force you to come back. But when they made that mistake, I was in Europe playing with Dizzy Gillespie when my wife called me that she was already in London, England. And immediately the same night I talked to DC about, I didn't mention him at all what were my intention before, because I want to be sure that my wife and son were the other side of the pound. And then I talked to him, and he said, okay, let's go to the American embassy early in the morning. We were in Athens, Greece. And we went there very early morning. When they opened the embassy, we were already at the door. And then I got an interview with the ambassador, American ambassador, and everything. You know, we started the process of the political asylum. But he told me at that occasion, he said, you know what, finish your tour with Mr. Gillespie. And when you finish, go to any American embassy, doesn't matter the city where you're going to be, go to the embassy, and they're going to be aware of the whole thing. But at the same time, they make a mistake. They send a message in the kind of a special secret code to the office. In Cuba, they have they call the interest office of the American embassy, but it was located inside the Swiss embassy.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent that thing. Cuban government intercepted that message, and then they knew already what's going on. Immediately, they sent a message to the Cuban embassy in England, and they were crazy looking for my wife and son to put it back then in the plane and send it back to Cuba. When I found out that, a dear friend of mine from England, he put that then in a safe place where nobody could find them. And then immediately I got the call from the American office in Rome, Italy, and they said that they're going to pick them up there where they're staying, and they're going to bring them straight to the American embassy in London. And then from there, they're going to go straight to the airport, and that's it. They were safe. And then I felt much relaxed about, because that was my biggest preoccupation, you know, thinking about what's going to happen with them. That was a very, a lot of tension in those, you could imagine, because just the fact that you are leaving your own country and you know you're not going to be allowed to come back, never. That's a kind of strange feeling, you know. It's not a very comfortable situation, to be honest. But I never regret for a second what we did. And we are so happy and proud to be American citizen and to live in this wonderful country that we love with all our heart.
And we are so proud that you are a citizen. It is just wonderful to have been able to follow your career as much as I've been able to. You know, I know your love and respect for Dizzy. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with him and what he's meant to you through the years?
Before I talk about that, I would like to acknowledge that you, Richard Dunscombe, gave me my first job in the U.S. When I landed in Miami, I got some intention from the University of Miami, and then you came to my house. I never forget that. You came to my house. I said, Arturo, we really would like to have you in FIU, Florida International University. And I said, if you want me, you have it. And I said, hey, don't ask me for any official paper like diploma or certified or something, because I have no papers at all. And you say, no, we don't gonna ask you for any paper. We want you to teach in our school. And I spent there almost 20 years, man. That was great. And I always gonna be grateful to you, because that was my first official job in the United States. And now talking about this, we met in May 1977 in Havana, Cuba. He went there in the boat, in the jazz cruise. They were doing the Caribbean tour. Also, Stan Getz was in that boat, and Eric Fatherheim, and a group of other great musicians. And somebody called me from the musician union. That was very strange. And I said, it was a friend of mine that I played with him way back. And he said, Arturo, I know you're a huge fan of Dizzy Gillespie. He's coming this afternoon to Havana. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, yeah, nice joke. The joke. He said, no, I'm very serious. And then I went to the harbor. Man, I saw the boat coming in. And then the last minute, when I saw him coming downstairs of the boat, I said, oh, my Lord. And now, what the heck I going to say here? I don't know how to say a word in English, a single word. How I going to tell him as many things I would love to tell him. Mm-hmm. But I was so lucky, man. When he was walking, I was there like a zombie, I was like this, completely in awe, And the guy walks behind him. He was a percussionist. Unfortunately, he just passed away in New York, Ray Mantilla. And he started talking to me in perfect Spanish. He was playing the percussion with Stan Getz in the boat. And he said, can I help you in Spanish? He said, yes, you can help me, of course. He said, do you know this guy? I said, yes. He said, are you a musician? And I said, no. I was embarrassed to say I was a trumpet player, in front of Dizzy Gillespie. I said, no, I just a fan of him. And I offered him whatever he wanted to do. And then Dizzy tell him, ask this guy if he got a car. He said, yes, I got a car. I got a Primus 1951. It was falling apart. I just painted with the brush and tar diluted in gasoline. That car looks horrible and it smells even worse. And the passenger door doesn't open. He got to get through the driver door. That was a funny thing, but he was laughing, And then I drove him all over the city for the very first time ever, because that was his first visit to the island ever. A lot of people thought, including me, that he came there in the 40s and 50s, before. But no, he never went there. And later on that night, we have like a jam session, together with all the visitors and a couple of local bands. And I was playing the band there called Iraquere. It was a very good band at the time. And we played for them, and then we played together. And he was laughing. And then later on, he confessed that he said he was very impressed because he was expecting for sure. He knew that he going to see and hear a lot of great percussionists and all those kind of things, but he weren't expecting to hear a piano player and a saxophone and a trumpet, that way. He was very impressed, to be honest. And then he come back to New York and he started talking to everybody in New York non-stop about those musicians that he heard in Cuba. A couple of months later, the president of CBS, Bruce Lumwald, he came to our rehearsal in Havana. And he listened to the band, the whole rehearsal. We were a little uncomfortable because we saw that guy sitting there with the blue eyes, a big guy, He looks like a gringo to us and say, man, what this guy doing here? Then he listened to the whole rehearsal. And then he came to us later on. Nobody in the band speak English. Only one person understood. And then he said, I'm the president of CBS, and I'm here because Dizzy Gillespie has been talking about this band nonstop. And I just here to listen to the band and be sure that this was right. And then I said, yeah, he was right. And then to tell you the long story a little short, he signed our band for 3 years on CBS from 78, 79, and 80. 3 years we were CBS artists. that was very strange because, you know, no relation between the two countries, and the whole thing was very kind of unusual, you know. But anyway, that was our first opportunity. And then they put us on the plane. We landed in LaGuardia in New York. They drove us straight from LaGuardia to the Carnegie Hall to do a sound check for the show that night. The very first night, the very first day we came to the US, we played a concert at Carnegie Hall. The first half of we played the second half of the program. The first half was Marty Lou Williams trio and Bill Evans trio. We played the second half of the show. When we looked to the first row, man, we couldn't believe it. There was Mario Bauza, Toots Tillman, Dizzy Gillespie, Tito Puente, Bill Evans, and on and on and on. Oh my goodness, a lot of our heroes, you know. And I say, my goodness. And then later on, before we jumped to stage, Maynard Ferguson came, and we met very briefly, and then he showed me his trumpet. My trumpet was falling apart. It was a very old kind of thing. And then he showed me his trumpet, brand new, beautiful, gold-plated. Oh, my goodness. That was, like, gorgeous. And then he said, I'm going to give it to you, but you have to let me play at least the last tune you're going to play tonight. And then Maynard and Stan Getz play with us the last couple of tunes of that concert. You know, later on, I started playing with Dizzy, and I was so lucky because, you know, being around him for so many hours, so many days, in every kind of circumstance, you know, and I learned so much from him. But the best lesson I learned from him was his passion and love for music. That was the best lesson. A lot of people are asking me many times if I ever took a real trumpet private lesson with him, and I say no. That wasn't the point. The point was to learn, listen to him, and especially he always was open to share things with people. You know, to always want to come to the piano and show you progressions of chord and things and how to do things the best way, and all those kind of things, you know. That was so good for me, you know, and I feel very blessed that I got the opportunity to become a close friend of my hero. And even before we met, he was my hero already. But later on, he became like my mentor, you know, like my godfather, you know. He really took me under his wing and gave me so many opportunities over the years, you know, that I'm going to die very grateful.
I know one of the reasons that you are a pianist today is because of Dizzy. And tell us a little bit about why the piano is so important to a musician.
When I was young, I read a book. It was one of those publications of jazz history. In one of the chapters of the book, it was a story that Miles Davis came to Dizzy Gillespie asking him for advice, you know, how to be a better improviser, how to get deeper into the improvisation of those kind of things. And Dizzy said, okay, I can help you. Let's go to the piano and sit down. And Miles said, piano? What are you talking about? I said, yeah, piano. This is what we need. Otherwise, I cannot explain you anything. When I read that, I said, I think it's very important for everybody, not only for Miles. This is a good information. And from that day on, I went crazy about the piano. Unfortunately, I bought my first piano when I get in Miami in 1990. In Cuba, I never got a piano. That was impossible for me to buy a piano because the government provided instruments. And then when I went to the government asking for a piano, they said, what for? You're a trumpet player. No, we have a long list of pianists waiting for pianos. We cannot sell a piano to you because, you're a trumpet player. I say, okay. But even though every time I saw a piano in somewhere, I always jumped there and play like crazy for as long as I could. And when I get to Miami, I bought my first piano. And later on, a few years later, I was so lucky that I bought the personal piano that belongs before to Oscar Peterson, a Bosendorfer Imperial, 9.6 foot with the extra 10 notes in the bottom. And I still have it for the last 20 years or something, that piano that was a personal piano of my favorite jazz pianist ever. In other words, God has been very good to me. Very good to me.
For sure. We know that you have played with many of the biggest names in music throughout your career. Share with us some of what you consider the highlights of your playing career.
Oh, that's no discussion about that. Was Dizzy, playing with Dizzy for so many years and making album with him and be his close friends. That means so much to me. But also, I'm going to share with you a very nice story that happened to me many years ago. I was living in Miami, and I got a phone call from two incredible, extremely talented lyricists in America, Alan and Marilyn Berman. They called me. We met before. We met in Cuba, by the way, because Michel Legrand introduced them to me. And they came to my house. My wife cooked for them. And, also Johnny Mandel was in that group too. My wife cooked for Johnny Mandel, the Berman, and Michel Legrand. And that was a beautiful, things that happened to us. But I got a call from the Berman and said, Arturo, we're producing an album with Johnny Mathis. And Johnny is doing a tribute to the music of Michel Legrand. And we want you to play a couple of solos in that album. I say, wow. And where's that? It's in LA. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of everything. Okay, they flew me to LA, blah, blah, blah. I get to the studio that night, to tell you this story kind of fast. And then the Berman was there, Michel Legrand was there, the engineer, and then I was ready to start playing. And then the Berman said, Arturo, Johnny Mathis said that he's terrible sorry that he cannot be here tonight because he broke his leg. His leg. And then he got like a
cast.
He got a cast. He cannot come tonight. He's very sorry. Okay. And then I say, oh man, I'm so sorry because I was also looking forward to meet him. Okay. And then I went to the studio. I was ready to start playing. When I looked through the glass like this, I saw Johnny Mathis on crutches showing up to the studio. I put the trumpet down. I went there. I said, oh, my goodness. Oh, no. And then that was very funny because he said, you know why I'm here? Because I wonder who's that Cuban guy from Miami that the Berman flew to LA to play the trumpet. Like, we don't have a trumpet player here in Los Angeles. And then we laugh and the whole thing. And that was very nice. I played a couple of solos and everything was good. But also, I'm going to share out another moment that I really consider extremely important for me. I got a phone call from Phil Ramon, the great producer, engineer, musician. He was one of the kind. Incredible, And he called me and said, Arturo, I'm producing an album with Frank Sinatra. And I want you play a solo in that album. I say, Frank, who? What are you talking about? Frank, who? who said, yeah, man, let's do it. And then I did it, man. I did it in Miami. Unfortunately, I couldn't meet the Mr. Sinatra, unfortunately, because I would love to have that opportunity to have met him. But anyway, the record is there, and it's my privilege to see my name there, you know, trumpet solo in the last album of Mr. Frank Sinatra.
Mm.
But I play in albums and recording with Barbra Streisand, with oh my goodness, it's the list is very long, you know, Stevie Wonder, Al Jarreau, a lot of people that I really, you know, Alejandro Sanz, Willie Chirino, Gloria Estefan, and on and on and on and on. It's so many big list of the people who are admired and respect very much, and I got the opportunity to play with them or record with them.
You've received so many honors throughout your life. What are the most memorable and impactful of those awards?
I would like to mention one that I really appreciate very much, which is the Emmy for the score I wrote for the movie on HBO. That's very important because it's not as a trumpet player. It's not, you know, it's like as a composer for the soundtrack, which is probably my biggest passion, is to write a score for movies. I'm gonna tell you, for me, that is I feel on heaven when I got any opportunity to write a score for any kind of movie. I love that. I love that. To win the Emmy. By the way, I don't want to mention the names, but the other nominees for that Emmy was big name in the business of scoring movies. People with a lot of experience, with a lot of great movies under their wing, and I told my family when we were in the ceremony. By the way, that was September 10th. One day before the horrible day of September 11th. Mm-hmm. That was one day before, here in LA. Mm-hmm. And I told my family, hey, not even think about it. Forget about it. We have no chance whatsoever. We have no chance. And when they opened the envelope and say my name, oh my goodness, I think I fell in the floor. You know, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to share with you something that happened to me. One of the composers that was one of the nominee, great composer, amazing, very famous. We met that night. I don't want to say his name because I'm no. And then we were talking in the kind of reception after the award ceremony or whatever. And he was so nice to me. And he told me something that I took as a very nice and beautiful compliment. He said, Arturo, the day they showed that movie on HBO, I was home with my wife. We got a glass of wine. We were watching the movie. And then halfway through the movie, I looked to my wife and I said, honey, I think I just lost another Emmy. Man, that's something that every time I remember that, I swear to God, I get emotional because that guy is a big name in business, and he did so many beautiful things. I forget probably the most important one, which is the highest award that a U.S. government could give to a civilian. I was a recipient of Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yes.
And it's a big award, and I really appreciate that, and I got this very close to my heart because I know what that means, and I'm gonna share something with you. It's another 3 jazz musicians that got that award ever. Mm-hmm. The other 3 are Ella Fitzgerald, Count Basie, and Duke Ellington. Can you imagine these farmer from Cuba in such a company. It's impossible for me to believe it.
Can you give us a brief rundown of what you're up to today and currently what projects you may have in the works?
You know, recently I wrote a couple score for, you know, the incredible Clint Eastwood. I wrote the score for The Mule and also Richard Jewell. His two last movies, I wrote a score for both of them. That also has been a big, great opportunity for me that I don't take this very, lightly. It's something extremely important for me, and I really appreciate that so much. And after that, we became friends, man. Can you imagine? We are friends, and we talk on the phone very, very often. And he's such an icon of the American culture, in general. And a wonderful man with a great sense of humor. No many people know about it, because the image he projects is like a tough guy, rude guy, very, but he got a great sense of humor. He's very easygoing and a wonderful, warm person.
We know that you are a lover of all types of music. What are some of your favorite tunes or works? And then, could you please play something for us?
I will play something. One of my favorite piece of music, probably, I'm going to play for you now, a little bit. The sound of the horn in the phone is, I don't guarantee it's going to be any good. But I'm going to try.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This is a French horn solo and one of my favorite pieces of music ever. That's Maurice Ravel, Pavane per infant divin. It's a beautiful. And the other thing that I really love so much is everything he wrote, but especially the number 2 and 3 piano concertos of Sergei Rachmaninoff. Those pieces of music, they're on top of my list big time.
Yes.
Oh, those melodies, kill me. Those melodies are second of none, I'm a big fan, to be honest, of all the Impressionist music. I love everything that Debussy wrote, and Eric Satie and Ravel, of course. But the Romanticists also, that Rachmaninoff music, I don't know, but that thing is really grab my soul and move it around, do whatever they want, and I love that music, of course, and I love, like Duke Ellington used to say, music is only one, the good one. That's it. For me, music is music, period. Whatever sound good, I want to learn. Whatever sound good, I study, I pay attention, I'm trying to get the feeling of the style, and I'm trying to, to learn as many things as possible. Unfortunately, lifetime is not enough to learn everything we could learn. But maybe someday I'm going to have a reincarnation, and then I'm going to keep learning.
Good. I hope I'm there with you. It's interesting, the piece that you chose to play for us. I shared the bandstand with you and the FIU Jazz Band many times, and we played hot music as endless. It was just incredible. But my favorite memories of FIU and you are when you would come in and sit down with Mike Gerber at the piano and you would play flugelhorn in ballads. It's absolutely beautiful.
I love play ballads, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And unfortunately, to be honest, a lot of people, when they thought about me, they think about the guy who played very fast, very high, and with a lot of, difficult things and whatever. But if you people really pay attention to that side, which has nothing to do with velocity or range or whatever, is when I play the ballad, I really try as much as I can to be like a singer, to sing a melody. When I play something, I hear that the great teachers over the year have been saying that when you play the melody, it's even convenient to learn the lyrics, to play as accurate as possible of the original thing that was written with lyrics. And it's important. I always recommend to students and people who ask me questions that it's good to listen to good singers. And when you play the melody, be sure you say, when you wish upon a star, to reflect in your playing even the lyrics. You cannot say the lyrics, but you can pronounce the lyrics. You can make the inflections and nuances like you are playing the lyrics.
Oh, Arturo, thank you so much.
You are very, very welcome. And I'm very glad to have this opportunity to see you, to talk to you, to meet Mr. Bob, and also to, to share with the people in your website or whatever you use, a little bit of history of, and let everybody know that if you are in love with music, you will be a happy person no matter what.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arturo Sandoval, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much, Arturo.
Bye.
To our viewers, we appreciate you joining us today and for being a part of Jazz Zone Together. We hope you found the presentation by Arturo Sandoval of real value. We hope you'll join us for future episodes. In the meantime, please stay safe and please keep making music.